episode of the Millionaire Mentor Method podcast with your host, Krystal, also known by my artist name, the most famous woman in the world. And I just want to take this time really quick to talk about why in the world do I keep introducing myself as that? And that is because I am doing a SEO slash keyword slash social experiment a la Maddie Mo, who is now, if you Google the most famous artist, he is what comes up. And I am doing this live and documenting the whole thing on YouTube. So you can go to my personal YouTube at Most Famous Woman in the World and see my very unorganized vlogs concerning trying to get my rankings up in Google search results for the most famous woman in the world. And that experiment, which I'm collecting data and tracking it, hopefully that will be able to help you guys in the future with your SEO, search engine optimization, and keyword rankings, and all that good stuff for anything, not just the key phrase, most famous woman in the world. But that is a whole other experiment. And like I said, you can go to YouTube and find out more about that, or to my personal website, which is themostfamouswomanintheworld.com. The website for this wonderful podcast and community is millionairementormethod.com. So you can find us on all platforms under the handle Millionaire Mentor Method on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. And I'm very proud of that, because how many times in life do you get your handles across all social media and the domain name and the podcast name, all of it the exact same? So I'm very excited about this. Okay, so today I want to talk about something that really irks me. And I just want to have you guys think about how important it is to be very close to reality. So we all need to realize that the ethics in journalism today have pretty much flown out the window. I don't know when exactly it was that ethics in journalism flew out the window, but I am assuming it would probably have been somewhere around the time that the 24-hour news cycle and cable news started. So we just have to be aware that in the mainstream media, with social media, with social influencers, with alternative media, there are a lot of click-baity headlines that are misleading at best, downright wrong at worst. So when we're looking for inspirational stories or, looking at headlines, we just have to be aware that because of the prevalence of clickbait, that someone's success journey that we are aspiring to might not be actually how things actually happened in reality. So what I'm referring to specifically is the cover that Kylie Jenner made on Forbes. So that's my number one shining example of a clickbaity title. And just remember, clickbait doesn't have to be online. It doesn't have to be actually a click, right? In this case, it was on the cover of Forbes. And as entrepreneurs and go-getters, a lot of us read things like Forbes and Inc.com and Wired and all that stuff. So on that cover, Kylie was named as a self-made billionaire. And to her credit, she did say in an interview somewhere that she's not really a self-made billionaire, and that she admits that she's not really a self-made billionaire because obviously she was on a national show by the time she was, I believe, 9 or 10 years old, where she was obviously able to reach a very wide audience and build brand awareness by no effort of her own. So when we read headlines like that, oh, self-made billionaire, it's nice to want to aspire to be very wealthy and successful and a go-getter and getting your dreams and all that. Of course, that's what this whole podcast is about. That's what our whole community is about. But just don't believe the hype, right? So Kylie Jenner's success journey will look wildly different than most of us, me included. I wasn't on, I think it was E! Entertainment show, right? So I wasn't on a show that Ryan Seacrest produced when I was 9. And most of you probably also were not on a show with millions of watchers and viewers when you were 9. So just take all that with a grain of salt when you're looking at people's success journeys. Just take it all with a grain of salt that if you're not a billionaire by the time you're 25, it's okay. Elon Musk wasn't even a billionaire by the time he was 25. So our success journeys can and will and should look different than those types of clickbaity headlines. And that's totally normal. And, just with other people as well that you might look up to or see, just know that honestly, and I've looked into a few people who I follow and who I consume content from, and when you delve a little bit deeper, so not on the first page of Google, but on the second, third, fourth, fifth, or 10th page, when you actually find out about someone's backstory, or maybe even when you are talking to people who actually know them, the story that they tell you and the story that's in media may not be the full truth. So, and I'm not going to name any names, but let's just say that many people in this type of space, many of them started out very well off. So if not just straight up wealthy, meaning getting a trust fund worth several $1 million by the time they're 18, or, having a wealthy parent or grandparent who either gives them a significant amount of money to start their business or gives them their networking circle, which they built over the course of 50 years, things like that. All of that stuff, not all of it is included in their bios or on their website or in their book, because obviously they know if they were to highlight those facts that they wouldn't be able to be relatable. So, some of these people believe that omission is not lying. So omitting facts and omitting things that happened in their life or where they actually started, they like to kind of skirt that to even probably to themselves, that's not really lying. But it is. And so just take all that with a grain of salt. Realize that Kylie Jenner was not a self-made billionaire. Realize that Taylor Swift wasn't just a very talented young woman who was discovered randomly. Her father gave her several $1 million to start her business. And you can look that up. It's true. I'm in music, so these are some things that I knew. I've known for a very long time, and other people in the industry have known for a very long time. But again, with her story, all you hear is the clickbait titles of, oh, she was just a very talented young woman and she was just singing with her guitar in a cafe. And then someone just randomly discovered her. And then the next thing you know, she's on the top of the charts. And you know what? That sounds very nice. And that's the typical American rags to riches story. But no. Taylor's papa gave her the moolah and several million. Okay. So if you're wondering why you're not where you want to be and it seems like all these other people are just becoming multimillionaires overnight and they're 20 by the time they're worth $100 million. Take a deep breath. Sometimes the story isn't what you think it is. I would argue most of the time it's not what you think it is. So that's it. That's all I have for today, guys. I just want to bring us all back to reality and kind of calm us all down a little bit that if things are taking a little bit longer than you would have imagined, it's okay. Just keep going. And remember, demonstrate excellence and bravery, and each one teach one.
The information provided in this podcast is for educational and entertainment purposes only and should not be construed as financial advice, investment advice, or medical advice. The host is not a financial advisor nor a medical doctor or licensed therapist. Any financial or medical decisions made based on the information in this podcast are made at the listener's own risk. It is recommended that listeners consult with licensed professionals such as CPAs, financial advisors, and licensed physicians before making any investment or medical decisions. The host and creators of this podcast accept no responsibility or liability for any loss or damages incurred as a result of the information provided in this podcast.